I want to talk to you about air suspension because you've been giving it a bad rep. You've been telling people that it's expensive and complicated, difficult to understand and rubbish. And it's not. You're wrong. Air suspension has been around for a very long time. It's used on lorries, it's used on cars, and it's used on your L322 Range Rover. And I am on a mission to make you love it. And we're going to do this by first of all talking to you about how to diagnose problems with it without swapping loads of components, without pulling your hair out, without even picking up a spanner, probably. Just looking at how it works, what it's telling you, maybe plugging in the diagnostics, reading off a couple of codes, and by understanding how the system works, I'd like to think that by the end of this video, you'll be able to diagnose the problem, maybe even go straight to the problem. I'm going to need some dry white markers and my whiteboard. We'll start with a purple pen. Purple because that's the colour I've got. Your car, like mine, has got a wheel on each corner. Okay? I hope you can see this all right. You've also got a compressor. We know this. You've got an air spring on each wheel. You've got a height sensor on each wheel. What else have you got? You've got two valve blocks, one at the back and one at the front. You've got a reservoir. That does say reservoir, I promise. You've got a switch. So you can select your different ride heights, high, medium and low. And you've got a computer, which is hopefully orchestrating. C-O-M-P-U-T-E-R. And I've got a 3D printer running in the background, so I'm sorry if you can hear that as well. These are the basic components of your air suspension system. Some systems will have a little bit more than this, some might have less, but fundamentally, this is what you're going to find, particularly if you're driving a Range Rover. Now, let's say you get into the car, it's on standard ride height, you've been driving for a while, you come to a little bit of field, you want to put it into off-road height, you flick the switch, you say, make it high. The switch sends a signal to the computer that says, oi, bloke in the driving seat wants us to be on high. So the computer says, great, okay, no problem at all. I wonder what we're on at the moment. So it interrogates the height sensors. The height sensors are constantly sending a signal back to the computer to say, this is my height, this is my height, this is my height, this is my height, just continuously, okay? So the computer quickly checks all of those, says, right, we're at standard ride height at the moment, we need to increase to get to where they want to be. So we're going to need to put some air into the airbags to do that. Have we got any air in the reservoir? We better ask. So it sends a signal to the reservoir. It says, are you cool? You've got pressure in there? And the reservoir sends a signal back saying, no, actually, not to do what you've asked me to do. So it then sends, the computer will then send a signal to the compressor to say, if you can, switch on and send some pressure to the reservoir, like that. So it does. Compressor comes on, it puts pressure into the reservoir. When the signal going back to the computer from the reservoir says, it's all right, we've got enough pressure now, the computer will then send a signal to the valve block. probably both of them, the one at the front and the one at the back, and say, you can open and let some pressure through. Oh, we better connect them up, hadn't we? Reservoir to valve block. Reservoir to valve block. There we go. Right. So, compressor, reservoir, valve block outputs to the two air springs on the front and the two air springs on the back. So now we've got a system going. The compressor's running, it's charging up the reservoir. The reservoir is allowing pressurized air out to the valve blocks. The valve blocks are open and the air is going into the airbags. The airbags increasing pressure, the vehicle raises, corner height sensors are sending their signals back constantly, computer's listening, it gets to the right height, the computer says, right, switch off the valve blocks close, pressure this side of the valve block, between the valve block and the airbag is held, and the car is at its right height. It's not quite finished yet, because it will carry on talking to the reservoir and the compressor, allowing the reservoir to build up enough pressure for whatever the next ask is. And when it gets there, it will say thank you very much, and it will shut down the compressor. And that's your stable system. It's actually very simple, isn't it? There's not a lot that can go wrong with this, because mainly there's a few wires, a couple of valves, a compressor and a computer and a switch. There's nothing else to it. So what's going on with some of these problems? I've picked out one which I think is actually a bit of a classic. This I found on the L322 Range Rover owners forum on Facebook a few days ago. It's from a guy called Eric, and he says, air suspension, help needed. It's a 2008 L322. He says, my EAS system is acting strange, uneven corners, and I'm unable to complete the calibration process with the gap tool. Well, you're not going to calibrate anything if the system's not working. So fix the system, then calibrate it. He says, I run and cleared codes continuously along this journey, and I'm assuming what he means is every time he goes to use the system, it throws up more codes. So he's not managing to clear all the codes, so the system won't calibrate. Steps he's taken so far is replace the front left height sensor due to the gap confirming a bad sensor. Okay, so he's replaced that. He's replaced the O-ring on the gallery tank due to confirmed leak via his own soap test. So we know that gap tool has so far said this one needed changing, and he's changed it. And the rest of the corner sensors are all good, and he's checked the reservoir, and that's good. It doesn't say that he's done any live data testing at this stage, and I'd be interested to know what the live data was saying. If you've got a gap tool or any other reasonable diagnostic tool, you'll be able to get live data. And if you download the relevant diagnostic manual from Range Rover, it will tell you what those values should be. In fact, I think my launch test gear also has all those numbers built in, so it'll tell you what the range is that it should be when you're reading off the live data. So anyway, yeah. He's replaced the compressor due to low pressure increase code. I hope he replaced the compressor after he fixed all the O-rings on the reservoir, because he could have been getting low pressure because the reservoir was leaking, not because the compressor wasn't achieving pressure. It's possible. This is just the way you have to think. Confirmed no leaks from the airbags and hose fittings at the valve blocks. So actually we've got the corners, he's saying, the height sensors and the airbags, and the height sensor and the airbag, and the height sensor airbag, height sensor airbag are all good. He's saying the reservoir's good and the compressor's good. I'm assuming he's not getting any more codes for those things. He tested the valve block solenoids and got clicks when bench testing the valve blocks with a 12-volt battery supply. That's only a useful test. Okay, no criticism, Eric, but that's only a useful test if you actually had an air supply to the valve when you were doing that, because you might get a click but the shuttle's not moving. And if the shuttle's not moving, then it's not directing the air between the ins and the outs and the exhausts. So I'm not going to do anything with that information. That doesn't help me at all. Oh, and finally he says, I've ordered new front and rear valve blocks because at this point I've run out of ideas. Okay. What he's told us is the four corners are okay. He's told us the computer is working because he's interrogating it, he's talking to it, it's doing things, it's telling these things what to do. He's told us that the compressor and the reservoir are okay. He's told us that the suspension on the front of the car behaves as he expects it to when he's doing his tests. And he's told us that the suspension on the back doesn't. I think I know where his problem is, and I think it's here. I think the valve block at the back is probably the culprit for the problems that he's having. But it could also be the wiring to the valve block. It could be a crushed pipe. What else could it be? I don't know. Immediately off the top of my head, I've not seen this vehicle. I don't know what the particular problem is that Eric's got there. I could plug my diagnostics in. I might even get a different set of results. I might get different codes. But from what he's said so far, I'm going to put my very little money on the rear valve block. And I'd be interested, Eric, if you're watching this, if you get back to me and tell me if that's what the problem was. If you change that valve block and everything mends itself, I was right. Now, I hope that was useful for you. There is no reason why you shouldn't be able to now go home and plug in your diagnostic tools, and without getting your hands dirty, without having to do any physical spannering at all, you should be able to get most of the way to understanding what's wrong with your air suspension, and hopefully learn to love it again like I do. I'm Stephen, this is Steve Steele. I love you, and I'll see you on the next one.